Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I have to remember to continually unmute myself there right before I start talking. It's pretty funny. Anyway, hello, Chris. How are you tonight, sir?
Doing wonderful. How are you doing today?
You know what? I'm not bad at all. Let's lift the glass, everybody. Clankety clank. Thank you for everyone for being in the chat room with us. We appreciate you very much. My name's Alan. I'm your host tonight, and my co-host, of course, and ever so knowledgeable friend and cohort is Chris. We are talking about a fun movie from the '80s tonight. What are we talking about, Chris?
1987's The Gate.
And did anyone from this show do anything other than this movie? Or is it the only one out there?
Oh,
You with me, sir?
I am. Now I am.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Okay.
So I was just asking, other than the main lead, did anyone else in this movie really have anything
Of
occur
note,
after
of
this?
note, not of my notes.
No.
Sure they've done something. Most of them, no.
No, and it's funny because you're looking back on this from you said it was '87, correct?
Yes.
This movie was for me was how to put it very nostalgia driven. It was a movie that was a major part of who I was personally as a horror movie guy back at that time frame. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it.
Yeah, this movie came out. I'll age myself. I was 10 when this movie came out, and it is in a
Wow.
group of movies that would lead to my love for horror later on because I was exposed to them way too young. Just being the tail end, I've already been into. I was already really into heavy metal music. I was into dark metal. We had coming around. There was a lot of ironic bands at that time too that played into the dark metal scene, and had a friend that introduced all of that to me. I had a Terry
Yeah.
growing up,
Okay.
so yeah, very nostalgic. From the suburbs that they lived in to model rocket club. They were all things that I did at that time. So uh, that was me, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. I always felt like I was an outsider myself and that, so I kind of identified with that.
Right.
I was my friends, a lot of my friends were into um uh, I hate to even call them hair bands anymore because they're really not, but which I dug it too. But I was also like, in my cave, like digging into old Alice Cooper and things like that, and just I mean, and when I say digging, I mean like, you know, funny story. My father, God rest his soul, um, I was I was listening to Welcome to My Nightmare and I was doing my homework and he literally walked up to me and goes, I don't see how you can get any work done with that guy screaming, Steven, Steven, Steven. So if you know, you know.
Absolutely.
um,
Absolutely.
Yabalto, I'm with you. I was 17-ish at that time. Also, I graduated high school in around that time frame. So, um,
Nice. Yep. I was a little younger. You know what? That's why Gen X is a weird time to be because you could be 8, you could be 18.
right?
You were really exposed to a lot of the same things
Yes.
because there was there while there was an age gap, you were all on the same path. So we saw a lot of different things together. It's a weird it's a weird generation to be a part of. That I had counterparts that were older than me and younger than me that we were all going the same way, man. We were trying to get through the 80s alone.
Yeah. Yep. And it's funny because looking back on that time frame, at the age that I am, I was a little older than you. I'm still a little older than you. Unfortunately, that's the way time works. But I had fallen into to loving horror for the sake of horror. So there was a lot of stuff that the original Trick or Treat with Sammy Kerr and that had
Right.
Ozzy Osbourne and Gene Simmons in it,
Yeah.
which to me falls along the same lines as this movie. I've heard this movie called The Goonies, meets The Exorcist. I never bought that. It's not
Yeah.
extreme by any means. I think that this movie, especially for the time it came out, was a really good transitional horror film. What do you think?
Yeah. I heard one today that was pretty close. Is Goosebumps and Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Yeah, I'll take that.
that works out to where, yeah, that's pretty much where we're sitting. Um,
Let's lean way towards more towards Goosebumps than Evil Dead, but
right, right. It's one of those. It's a story in the '80s that I felt made it really relatable to um, the kids of that generation. That it puts you into these. I mean, there were probably worse movies out there as far as gore and everything else goes, but
right.
you could see yourself being a part of it. You can feel the fear. Um, our main character here, Glenn, he he gives you that feeling that it could be you at that age.
And that's I think the thing that did it, again, watching it when I did, which was around that 16, 17 year old mark,
Hmm.
was there was someone in there or something that you could identify with, and I think that's why it worked. It never scared me. This movie
Right.
never really scared me watching it, even then, but I was amazed by it.
Yeah.
The special effects were just this is a great example of getting a lot with a little money.
Yeah. Bunch of rubber suits. Like rubber
Yeah.
suits. We've got tiny little minions running around that for anything else in any other movie you would see as stop motion animation. No, we
Not,
just put a bunch of dudes in some rubber suits and let them run around.
yeah,
And
not these guys,
little
right?
forced perspective to make it look like they're tiny. And
These guys.
yeah, those guys. Those are dudes in rubber suits, and it
And it's
works.
funny because I always thought it was stop motion.
Yeah,
The Mar and I were talking about this. Is she and I both love this kind of thing where we were talking about it, and she's like, I'd never really heard the word forced perspective, and but she got it. What that you're
yeah,
seeing what they wanted you to see,
right.
but man, that was fantastic the way that was done. I had a picture, and unfortunately, it was one of those things where I thought I sent it to myself, so I lost it. But it
Right.
was literally a picture of the guys in the suits standing
Yeah,
in the room with all the like the dresser and everything
the
being.
furniture's all lifted on the wall, and the
Yeah,
cameras are all built down, and
it was so cool,
yeah,
so cool. This is and that's I think one of the reasons why I love this movie as much as I did. There is a scene in it where the guy who's the construction worker comes out of the wall, right? Who
right.
and when he falls stiffly, face for as soon as he hits the ground, he turns into the minions, and they all start,
Yeah, they're all running around. Yeah,
doing the guy in the rubber suit who's trying to play like he's a bad guy thing.
right.
And I absolutely loved that scene when I was again 16, 17 years old. I thought it was it's just so well
It's
done.
wild. Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
wild. And this is also the '80s were a great time for horror to be introduced to horror because it could scar you or it can
Yes.
make you love it for life.
Yes.
Honestly, we had, and this is one of them that, pushing that border of PG-13. What's PG-13 now? We have to worry about PG-13 in the '80s,
Yes.
and what you could get to where there's a lot of movies that we were exposed to even at before 13,
Oh yeah.
and but they were rated for 13-year-olds. That right now, no way, no way. You
No,
get a
no,
mature
no,
rating,
absolutely not.
you get an
There-
R rating. That we can't have kids watching that. And '80s kids, they were like, yeah, they'll be all right.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, the scene where the with the parents alone. and I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but that scene alone would have been enough to give this an R rating.
Oh, absolutely.
And had the movie went in the direction they wanted it to go, the original script went, it would have been a hard
Very dark.
it would have been a hard R even then.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they didn't. To be honest with you, I'm really glad they didn't. So we're way ahead of ourselves a little bit. And I told you to raise your glass before, and I forgot to do it. So Kelly did. Let me find her comment real quick.
Yeah, right there.
Let's see, LG, where are
Oh,
you
clankety
here?
clank.
Yep. So everybody that has a glass, lift a glass, clankety clank. We love you. We appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Mm, so good. I've discovered a new tequila that I'm really really enjoying.
That's nice.
It
That's
is
nice.
so yummy. Anywho, so just give us an overview. If someone had never seen this before, how would you describe this? Describe this movie.
Describe this movie. Um, well, we have a young boy who has an older sister, and mother, father. He has a friend that we have learned he lost his mother, so he's and only has one parent. Kind of affected him as a kid and became a metalhead. Into the dark metal.
Yes.
And while hanging out, a hole in the backyard of our main guy, Glenn Stephen Dorff, is actually an entryway to hell, per se, bringing
Hence,
back the old gods.
hence the gate.
It is the gate to the old gods, and
Yes.
according to a metal album played backwards, which okay,
We got to talk about this.
just a minute for all the records that have been ruined out there for trying to listen to heavy metal music backwards. Listen, you're scratching them up on a DJ mix. That do you, man? That's cool. To listen to the metal backwards to hear, Freddy is the devil. No, no,
No,
you're ruining needles. You're ruining records. Cut it out.
cut it out.
And it also brings back the chance for the apocalypse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And here's where we meet up with the Evil Dead. When given a something with words on it that are obviously in another language, don't read them
If you
because
don't know what you're saying, leave
uh,
it alone.
two things happen. A, you say them right and you open up a portal to hell. B, you say them wrong and the portal to hell doesn't get closed. So maybe leave that to the professionals. So yeah, all of those things come together to open up a portal to hell. In which case, these kids are tasked with closing the portal and banishing the old gods for good.
Gotta love it. Um, if I see this correctly, at least on my end, we're locked up on YouTube.
Really?
It looks like it. Yeah.
For
Uh,
what?
no, no, not that they didn't boot us. We're just like the stream is locked.
Oh,
As if maybe we're not. Um, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, that it's not streaming enough data or something
well,
along those lines. So,
looks.
oops is right. So,
No,
oh, here.
it looks okay on my end.
Okay. Well, maybe
Yeah,
that's just
you're good.
my PC. All
How you
right.
doing,
Sorry
man?
about that.
You're seeing things
Which
spooky.
wouldn't be the first issue, and thank you, LG, for that. I appreciate it because I literally just pulled it up and it was like stopped dead from like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, no,
Uh,
no,
uh,
people are
yeah,
listening, so that's good.
yeah, that is good. So typical party from the 80s. Yeah, this is about true. So once the record is played backwards, Trick or Treat, Sammy Kerr, which is the reason why I brought that up,
Mhm.
or it's not called an Etch a Sketch. Do you remember what those were called?
I couldn't think of the name of it. It was just that
So if you guys, if
plastic board.
yeah, if you're old enough to remember this, some of us are. I'm years old, and so I remember them. It was a piece of cardboard with like a gray background in the center and plastic on it, and you could write on it, and then you grab the plastic and lift it off, and it made this noise, and it cleared all it off, and you put it back down, and you do it again.
They were called magic slate paper savers.
There you go. I never
Never would
knew.
have gotten that one.
No, me either. But with that being said, if yours magically starts putting words on it that you don't understand, do not read that shit out loud. Grab that bottom corner and go and erase it and
It's
be done
gone.
with
It's
it.
gone.
Yeah, especially after a tree falls in your backyard and gives you some kind of magic rock.
Right. And you can hear some weird stuff down there. And that magic rock is what wrote that on your little uh, magic saver paper there.
Yeah. Magic paper saver.
Magic paper saver slate.
Say that 3 times real fast.
Nope. Nope.
Nope. Couldn't
Nope.
do it sober.
Yeah. Nope.
Oh,
But yeah, but of course, like any good 80s movie, he read from that magic slate paper saver. And that was what started it all in motion.
yep, that's what did it. And of course,
Fatu, Farata.
and what cracked me up about this is all right, so for those of you who were born and raised at a point in time where you were old enough to remember the 80s, you were going to remember, especially by 1987, the satanic panic of the 80s,
Absolutely.
where there were times where people were traveling the country and preaching from the rooftops, if you will, about satanic cults and how rock and roll, the backward masking was delivering satanic messages to people and all
Heavy
this stuff.
metal bands were on trial for murder
Yes.
because someone unalived themselves, and these bands were blamed for it.
Yep. Saying that their lyrics, when played backwards, were telling people to do things to unalive themselves and all this stuff. And it's funny, the ones that were put on trial, that when you go back and watch them, and the ones who sat in front of Congress and talked about it, how intelligent these people were, and even the whole cult thing that was going on, which actually started in Canada and bled its way down into the U.S. Um, uh, uh, a podcast out of Canada that breaks down the satanic panic and where it started and how it started and where it came from. And it is a very, very interesting. Everything was debunked, of course, over time,
Yeah.
but movies like this played off of that.
Oh, absolutely.
And they did it because it worked, because it scared the hell out of the parents.
Yeah, and it was also a time that we sat around with the TV on. You were watching what your parents were watching.
Yep.
The news was on. You were watching the news. You were kind of expected to know what's going on in the world
Yep.
by tuning into the news. So if you were a kid at this time, it's a fear in you, like if or it's a possible one if you weren't kind of shaking your head, going, "Are you serious?"
Yeah. Yeah, and the reason being is because, let's face it, we had 3 channels and some places 4 to watch, right? And so if the news was on, it was on, and they were, unlike today, they were trying to report things in a situation where it's, you make up your own mind. But I'm gonna tell you what, when they're talking about, this stuff that was supposedly going on and being reported by children,
Mhm.
it became real ugly real fast. And Hollywood literally dumped into that very well,
Yeah,
and ran with it. And this is a movie that tried to do that successfully, unsuccessfully, I don't know. But the whole thing that I was getting ready to say was because of that. Um, Ubaldo is absolutely correct. 3 channels, and the kid was the remote control. I always said,
yeah,
when I was young, we had a dishwasher. Its name brand was Allen.
right.
Um, my sister would say I lied to you about that, but that's the way I remember it. Anyway, um,
Yep.
so in the movie, it was like, "Oh, my dad bought me this. It's the only album of its type," and, and the whole, band died mysteriously
Right.
in a plane crash afterwards, and they were singing about raising the damned and the elder gods and this, that, and the
The
other, and
whole
I'm
inside of the jacket of this LP
uh,
is a dark book, is, a
it
grimoire,
yeah, that literally is called The Dark Book,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, "There is no parent in the '80s that would have touched that with a 10-foot
Oh, no.
pole."
No, it would be on fire outside
Oh, absolutely, and
with hell-bent for leather.
which they did that.
Exactly.
Oh my god, we talked about, burning books, but in the '80s, it was albums. I'll never forget my church I went to was talking about having an album burning, ceremony, and I was
Crazy.
like, and I'm looking at him going, "You out your mind."
Right? I
You
see, I
know?
grew up in a very musical household that we had speakers everywhere, and we played music. My dad played music all the time, all LPs. We had, I mean, I wish I was able to have kept his collection just
Oh,
because
yeah, I bet.
so much vinyl.
I
So,
bet.
yeah, I was introduced to metals and all genres of music at a early age, early.
That's funny. That's funny
But
indeed.
yeah, this is where it comes into because I remember my Terry, which is funny that the kid that plays this Lewis Tripp,
Yes.
my friend Joey, I swear to God, is a spitting image of this kid.
Oh, really?
The tuft red hair, the circle glasses, kind of dorky, but wearing a metal, wearing a jean jacket with patches all over it. It's like scary that that was my friend, and he had up in his room. He had posters of Quiet Riot, and he had posters of Twisted Sister, and
Love it.
like he had this attic, bedroom full of metal, and that's the nostalgia for me is that I had that friend that was like, oh, you got to listen to this, and you got to listen to this, and this is what they look like, like they look like it's a horror movie, but it's not a horror movie. It's
Right.
metal music, and so uh, you having that friend in this movie is funny because I had that friend, and
It's funny that you said that 'cause, I had a friend that, similar. Now I was a little bit older, like I said, so instead of it being albums, oh my gosh, I'm getting ready to age myself. It was beta tapes,
mm,
and so I would go over and he'd be like, "Hey, have you ever seen this?" And he'd show me the videos of
oh,
these people that he collected off of, like, overnight MTV, 8 o'clock, or,
oh
3
yeah.
o'clock in the morning and stuff, and I'm blown away. As a matter of fact, the first Metallica album I heard was at his house, and I hated it
Oh really?
with a passion. I thought that was the most horrible junk I'd ever heard in my life. It's just, oh my god, I felt like my parents. It's screaming, it's this, it's that, and the other. Then I saw them live, and I got it.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, next
Oh.
day, I bought the first 3 albums, you know,
Oh, yeah.
literally the next day.
I get it.
Yeah, so, anywho, so yeah, so now, he's the one who's figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
Um,
And we come to a point where Glenn's parents are going to leave for the weekend. So, of course, typical 80s, we're leaving for the weekend. Don't want to
yes,
leave the oldest in charge because she's going to throw a party. She's going to say she's not going to throw a party. We all know she's going to throw a party. And she gets the gig of taking care of her little brother and the house and the dog, and the parents leave, and we've got a party,
yeah,
and all of her friends are over, and those kids are watching themselves.
and as usual, kids are watching themselves. I'm sorry, but her best friend that has the hair thing going on in the front is my absolute favorite
Yeah.
hairdo of any 1980s movie ever.
This is this is back in a time when hairspray was holding things for 18 hours and destroying the ozone layer.
I
And super glue was something that you're gonna glue your fingers together. Don't
Oh,
fuck
absolutely.
around and find out.
Yeah.
It's but up they're together, and it did that in like 15 seconds. Where now you've got to mix some crazy compound and you're goddamn playing Breaking Bad over here just to put the stupid ceramic piece back together and not have to hold it for the next hour.
Oh, and I'm gonna tell you right now, Aquanet in the red can.
The red stuff.
Dude, you could literally stand there and hold your head upside down and spray it, and your hair would stay that way when
It's
you stood
yeah,
back up. It was
it
awesome.
was there.
Yeah, it's probably why my hair fell out, but, whatever.
You gotta let up on that thing. You can't use half the can.
Oh, it's so funny though, because I mean, you could do you could achieve that, flock of seagulls look as a guy
Oh,
with,
absolutely. The spiky
uh
mohawks with the mooses that were out there
oh,
that
shit, yeah,
I
dude.
yeah, 18 hours, that's standing straight up for the next 2 days.
No doubt, no doubt. So, anyway, they're supposed to be like twin sisters and uh, Tina, you're absolutely correct. Aquanet and White Rain, glue in a can. So I'll tell you how strong, Aquanet in the red can was. Um, um, my then girlfriend was very allergic to, wasps and bee stings, right? And a wasp was, gotten in her bedroom. She's like, "Hey, can you come in here and kill this?" Blah blah blah. I grabbed her Aquanet and sprayed it, and you literally saw the wasp walking, and goes
Yep.
and froze.
Yeah, he's held in sport mode.
And I picked him up, walked outside, threw him in the garbage can. Didn't have to worry about being stung because he was frozen in place.
Glue in a can. It definitely
Yes.
was.
Definitely glue in a can. So anyway, moving on at this point in time. So parents are gone. They're having the big party. The big oak tree in the backyard has been struck by lightning. We have a hole in the ground. Where are we at this point?
Yeah, we've gotten to the point where um, they're trying to open up this geode that they were able to retrieve by opening up that hole real quick because that's what drove them there is to find a geode. And what do you know? They found one
Correct.
about the size of a basketball. Um, so some shenanigans happened during the party, and they're
Mm-hmm.
up in the room, and Glenn is able to smash that open, which rolls across our magic slate paper saver
Yes.
and give us the words that, of course, he reads out loud, which starts everything in motion.
Yes.
Well, it kind of continues everything in motion because at this point, we've had them opening the hole, we've had
Right.
them getting himself with a splinter and throwing the splinter down into the hole. Which another thing, you open a hole and smoke comes out. Maybe don't throw things with your own blood down into it.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's the
Again,
anti-ritual number rule number like 37, I think.
yeah, yeah. If something's going to bleed, don't bleed down the hole.
No, no,
No.
it's not supposed to be smoking.
No, no, especially not if it's like a green fog that's actually lit and, iridescent and you're
Yeah.
like, "Well, no, no, don't need to do that."
And we find out the next day that, of course, good friend Terry, that uh, the words that you spoke sound really familiar and goes back to this band's Sacrifice, which was an actual band um, done up with this crazy dark book and backstory for the movie.
Yes.
But oh, what it meant was, hey, old gods, trapped forever, really evil, probably going to destroy everything. Come on back. Um, I've opened everything for you.
Yes.
We love. We're good. Um, unleash hell upon earth.
Yes.
And shit, but it's okay because in this dark book we also have the the rituals in order to stop all of this from happening.
Which is funny because this is where they threw a little monkey wrench at us because the album playing forward is everything it takes to unleash hell.
Right.
You have to play the album backwards to find out what the
The incantation is
the
to
how to lock that gate, so to speak.
basically be gone, be gone, be gone, piss off, go back to where you fucking came from.
Uh,
Peace.
and it's so funny because it's so
I love that scene because he's going through it and they're like, man, that sounds really mean. Well, we're trying to banish them. I think it's supposed to. You know? Oh well, do it again.
yeah, do it again. Oh man, that's so funny.
And
Um,
when the sister comes out and looking at these two idiots around a hole chanting, what are you doing? Oh, well, we accidentally opened up a hole with old gods in that. We're just doing a trick to banish them back.
Yes.
And just how cut and dry he was telling the big sister that,
Yeah. Which is the point in time
it's
where the big sister would have said, "That's it. You're out."
get in the house.
Yeah. You're out. You in the house, you go home.
Yep. And
Yeah.
of course, by then it's too late.
Yes.
At this party the next morning, we found that the dog Angus has passed.
Yes, he
And
has.
the next day, of course, Glenn, being a normal 10, 12-year-old kid, call mom and dad. The dog died. No, we're not calling. We're not calling. The boyfriend, or this hope to be boyfriend, says, I'll take care of the dog. I'll drop him off at the animal place.
Right.
So instead, of course, the animal place is closed. He
Yep.
decides to go into the back with the dog and finds, oh shit, there's a hole in
There's
the
a
back.
hole. Let's sacrifice. No, I mean
Sacrifice.
dog.
Right.
Okay, so this is a part where where I'm starting to have a little bit of a hard time with this movie.
Of course.
As most people know, I like dogs better than I like most people. So, the fact that the dog died didn't make me happy in the first place.
No, that's sad. Absolutely.
But but if I'm not mistaken, and you can correct me on this, that dog was not really supposed to die.
No,
It just died during the filming. Am I correct on that?
I think so was the story. I've read a couple different ones that, you know, because the sad part is the actor that played the boyfriend had a hard time, um, you know, going through with the scene.
Right.
So they took the dog to the vet to have them lighten the dog.
They basically had it cremated.
Um,
Not cremated,
yeah,
stuffed,
and yeah, embalmed, and
embalmed.
they
Thank you.
took it to a taxidermist. And
That's what I was looking for. That's
I'm
the word.
going, wait a minute, this actor was carrying around a real dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, the '80s are a hell of a time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know, not only did this actor carry around a real dog, but in Poltergeist, the scene in the swimming pool, those were actual human skeletons
Yes.
because it was cheaper to use them than it was to use plastic ones.
Which brings us back to one of our all-time favorites of Return of the Living Dead, of making fun of that fact that
Yes.
we can make skeletons or we can just dig them up, and it's cheaper to just dig up people than it is to make fake skeletons.
It is.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So the boyfriend drops the dog down into the hole, which we spell out later is it doesn't have to be a human for a sacrifice. So
No.
they've completed all of these steps,
Yes.
and they think everything might be okay, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It goes bad real quick during the slumber party the next night,
Yes.
and we've got the guy that's buried in the walls. Scary story told to our young Glenn, and they were made up, but it was a guy that came out of that wall.
Yes, there was. At this point, I was questioning myself whether or not Glenn was actually dreaming.
I think that's you're waiting for that moment because we
Yes.
we started the movie off with him in a dream sequence of
Exactly.
being alone.
Exactly.
So you wonder that did it all really happen? And good scene of the worker coming, gets hit in the face with a boombox, and falls to the ground and turns into a bunch of crazy little men in rubber suits.
Yeah, he turns into a bunch of those.
Bunch of minions, little minions running
Loved it.
around.
Loved it.
Very funny. Definitely a good. It's a good scene. At this point, this is the sister is now. She's all in. Like we know what's going on. And we've got the two sisters that send them out. Send
Right?
them out first. So annoying. And they try to hold down the fort for the night with minions attacking and mom and dad showing up and running out to mom and dad and you've been bad.
Which
Uh,
is such a great
right.
point in this movie. You've been bad.
You've been bad, and he's squishing his hands through his dad's face and turning it to goo, and you have that back and forth. Is it real? Because now the goo's not on his hands, and
Right.
yeah, to the point where uh, all of his friends uh, are taken in one way or another.
Yes.
So he's by himself to where the Dark Lord of the Shadows, the old god, comes back and basically gives him the gift of an eyeball on his hand.
Which I don't understand that because they never fully explained.
Other than a picture on the wall, I,
No.
why?
And why the elder god, um, basically patted him on the head.
That is such a
Reached along
weird
and
scene.
patted him on the head, and then all of a sudden he winds up with as one would when an elder god pats you on the head, he winds up with an eyeball on his palm, which I none of that I get. None of it.
As well as the elder god purring while doing all of this.
Yes.
He had kind of has this kind of coo to him before it takes off and is going to start spreading hell. It's up into the clouds. A dark cloud is basically forming. Very Stranger Things.
Very Stranger Things,
Uh,
yes.
way before Stranger Things, but that's where it's pulling from. Is that and yeah, we have Glenn kind of trying to take everything in, and then decides, no, if anybody's going to be sacrificed, take me. Don't
Which
leave me.
which was kind of a cool thing for him to do, to be like, to be like, hey,
The
things are
hero.
great, blah 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 blah. Let's do it. So
And he's trying to get the old god's attention, yelling, screaming. Uh, Best way to do it would be to stab the eyeball in your hand. Figures that's the perfect way to bring them back. He was correct.
that's yeah, no.
Not quite sure what it all has to do with that point, but it obviously was a gift and it angered the old god to come back. Um, the only thing that can dispel them is a weapon made of light
And love
and
a
love,
weapon of light and love.
which happens to be the model rocket, the Thunderbolt, that him and his big sister built. And he fires off a model rocket right into the stomach of an elder god. And basically, nothing happens right away until he explodes
Yeah, and he does.
and turns into the 4th of July, fireworks and everything, bringing ending the possible reign of hell on Earth, and bringing us to back to where everyone's safe. His dog comes out of the closet. So congratulations to the dog. Uh, we've got his sister and his friends, and the two idiot sisters that spent over. Everybody's back to life that wasn't supposed to die.
And it ended with a fairly decent special effects unit, if you will, because it showed how the clouds were building and all the colors were building, and it looked like the sky was really what's the word I'm looking for? Really like ominous and black, and it was really a cool
Yeah,
uh
to break that cloud, that darkness,
yes, yes. And then, you get the light shining through.
and the perfect ending of the three of them sitting on the porch of a smoking house, debris everywhere. I think mom and dad will notice.
Yeah, they're like, what do you think's gonna happen here?
Yeah,
Nothing,
right.
nothing.
Um, but honestly, all in all, I'm not sure. I loved this movie as a kid. Like I
Yes.
said, it's one of those horror movies is at my entry level way too soon. And yeah, it's a good movie. I think it's still
It is, and I don't know what happened there. I hoping everything sounds great on the YouTube, but um, his your mic really started cutting out there. It sounded like you were in the bottom of a barrel.
really.
That there you go. You're back. You're back.
Huh,
Um, so before we talk about our ratings, let's do something else.
okay,
You want
what
to
you got?
before we jump into that? Let's say hello and happy birthday to one of our own. Um,
Yes,
Lunar Girl, Kelly, Blue Wrench of Power. We can't enough tell you what you mean to us here at our channel. Um, I've had a couple people reach out to me today that wanted to be sure to tell you happy birthday. I talked to Chantel earlier. She said to pass her love to you, and to wish you. She actually wanted to come on. We were going to give her the opportunity to come on and say it herself, but she had other things that she had to do and could not. So she wanted me to relay that to you. I talked to both Don and Brady. They both said the same thing, that they really love you and want to wish you um, a happy birthday. I know that Tina is in the room now. Same with Tina. LG, happy birthday. Thank you so much for being who you are. Thank you so much for all the support that you give us. Mara and I both really appreciate you, not only as a member of the Grateful Dead team, but all Grateful Dead, listen to me, uh, of the Grave Reviews team, but also as a friend. And we cannot wait till we're able to sit down and have dinner together again. Um,
definitely.
yeah, absolutely. So, is there anything you would like to add to that, sir?
Ek aan Verkona. Uh, I love you, wife. Happy birthday.
I like that. You're gonna have to teach me that. Say that again.
Ek aan Verkona. Old Norse.
Okay, I like it. I like it. While I don't know if you guys have seen that I was being a little distracted there. I'm having computer issues tonight, and which is really unusual because I normally don't, and but when I do, I have them
You've
very
got
good. and this is the point in time where we would literally be talking about where we're going to place this on our chart, what kind of rating we're going to give it. But that being said, I have lost our list. It literally while
count.
we were talking, I got a glitch on my other screen. I looked over and it was completely gone for no reason whatsoever. So if you've
Nice.
noticed that I've been kind of looking to the side here a little bit while I'm talking to everyone, it's because I'm rebuilding our list while I'm talking to everyone.
Okay. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah. This would be one of those where if I had a screen, put together with just, DB on it, I'd be going, "I'm sending it to you, DB."
What are we doing? So
Um,
yeah, if you have a chance to watch this movie, you can watch it free on Tubi on YouTube. It's about an hour and 27 minutes long. Uh, Decent little movie. I would probably recommend you go ahead and take it out, especially if you're into 80s horror. Perfect classic 80s horror. A little more gore than you should see for being 10 years old. Maybe, maybe not. That's all perspective. And Good entry level for bringing kids into that horror genre.
yeah, I will agree with everything that you've just said there. But I will also say this, I'm not nearly as much of a fan of this movie today as I was back in the day.
I am more a fan of this movie for the nostalgia that it brought, and the feeling how I could be the thing you want out of a movie. This gives to me. Um,
Yes.
Saying that as far as quality goes, there's different factors when it comes into there, and I think a lot of my love for the movie is that nostalgia.
I could see that. I could see that very much. Um,
But solid movie overall. Um, as far as rating goes, that's a hard one. With trying to be non-biased when it comes to my rating for this movie,
yes.
I'm going to have to give it. I'll give it a 7.5. Um,
Oh, wow.
with
That's pretty impressive,
I'm
actually.
trying to pull back because I would try to rate it higher, and that's allowing enough nostalgia to come through to give it a higher rating than maybe it deserves, but not so much to make it ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. So as far as that's concerned, as far as my rating is concerned, oh boy. Um, I'm not sure how to go about this.
It's art,
Let's
like I said, just trying to pull out of the nostalgia alone. I'm not. It's a solid movie for bringing kids into horror genre. I think
yeah,
it's not crazy scary with some of the effects that we have been known to see in the 80s.
yes.
So good entry level as far as that goes. As far as horror aficionado, snob about it, if you will. Yeah, it's not that good.
No, no. And so here was I told Chris early on, I said, listen, Chris, I said, I know that this has a lot of nostalgia berries for you.
Oh yeah,
Unfortunately for me, um, I tried to watch this as a um I tried to remove myself from the way I felt about it when I watched it and when I was younger. Does that make
right.
sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the reason I wanted to do this, I wanted to give it a fair rating, um, in conjunction with what we've been doing thus far.
Okay.
Okay, um, so I'm gonna. I almost hate to do this. I'm gonna give it a 5. For me, it's
Five.
right in the middle. It hits all the marks you would expect it to for the movie that you've got, but there was nothing really about it that was remarkable. Nope. I got to move that. I got to move that up. I got to move that to the 6. And the reason I have to move that to a 6, honestly, is because for years I thought we were looking to stop motion,
Yeah.
and to find out that it's guys in suits, that makes me so flippin' happy that I can't see straight.
Right.
I think it's a good, hard, steady 6. Now, I have this pulled up. Greedo and a Speedo. Hello, sir. Good to see you. Um, so I have this pulled up. If I'm not mistaken, this is where we were at last week. We were at The Thing is 1, Trick or Treat 2, Lost Boys 3, Carrie was 4, Cabins in the Woods 5, and Shaun of the Dead was 6. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Correct.
So if we go beyond that, we go down to the bottom tier. We've got Return of the Living Dead, Tucker and Dale, Better Watch Out, Violent Night, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Thanksgiving, and Blood Red Sky. That all sounds familiar. So we need to go ahead and
Yes.
put in the gate.
The Gate.
All right, and let's see here while it's searching out the movie for us. This is where I know you were in here because I saw you earlier.
Okay.
It's not from 2022. There it is. 1987's The
There we
Gate.
go.
All right. So the question then becomes, do you feel this is a top 5 movie in everything that we've watched so far? Would it you put this movie up in the same ranking as Shaun of the Dead, Carrie, Cabin in the Woods?
No. It would definitely be below a 7.
Okay. So, do you think this movie is should stand better or less than Return of the Living Dead and Tucker and Dale?
This is the fun part of this list because once we get below Tucker and Dale,
Yes.
we're it's difficult for me to place this movie.
It is. It
Um,
is.
I think I going one by one. I think Better Watch Out is probably a better movie,
Yes.
only because the writing in it, the twists and turns in Better Watch Out surprised me. It was the
Yes.
new take on a Christmas movie, so definitely that's better than The Gate.
Yes.
Violent Night.
Uh-huh.
Uh, David Harbour, I love that guy. I love him
I
in
do too.
Stranger Things. I love him in Violent Night. Good Santa story. Very strange take on a Santa story.
Yes.
But had me laughing maniacally at some points too.
Yes.
So I'm going to say Violent Night is better than The Gate.
Okay. So we're now at 11.
We're at 11.
Silent Night, Deadly Night versus The Gate. Both 1980s movies. You give me your give me I know exactly where I would put this movie. I'm just waiting to see if you and I agree.
Right now, knowing that we've got Silent Night, Deadly Night, and we've got Thanksgiving,
Yes.
uh, I am saying The Gate is good at 11.
I'm saying exactly that too. If you would have said to me going in, "Hey, Alan, where are you going to put this? Just don't mess around. Where are we putting it?" I would have said, "We're going to put this right between Violent Night and Silent Night, Deadly Night." I would have been okay with putting it before Violent Night,
Right. The,
but definitely not before Better Watch Out.
hmm,
Like you said, the Gate has a lot more nostalgia berries for me,
yep.
but realistically, it is nowhere near as good a movie as some of these others.
Yeah. Better Watch Out being the sociopathic Home Alone, uh,
Yes.
esque kind of movie. I really thought it was an original story. Uh, Very wild as far as a horror movie goes.
Yes.
It makes you guess. Definitely a better quality movie. Violent Night, and I'm the same. If it's one of those movies that's interchangeable. 10 and 11,
Yep.
they're right there. I'm happy with it being at 11. I think Violent Night was a fun movie. At least a month and a half out of the year.
Yeah. I'm really curious how we're gonna feel on these these bottom five or so. Pretty much everything below Better Watch Out, let's put it that way. Once we get into some other movies, and
Yeah,
the one that we're doing next week should be a lot of fun
that
to
should be
put
interesting.
on
That should,
this list.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
If you grew up at that time, you definitely heard of this movie. It
yes.
was definitely one of those movies that sat on a wall, on a shelf,
Oh,
in the video store that you were like, Dad.
yeah, and the cool thing was is that a lot of people didn't know this. The original VHS tape, the box cover on it, if you pushed it in the right spot, it talked to you. The VHS tape
Really?
did. Yes.
I did not
The
know
the
that.
the the cover was, "Want a party?"
On a party. Oh my God.
Uh,
What a
I cannot wait to do this movie. I'm so
yeah. Greeting. Watch
excited.
this movie this week. Coming this week, we will be doing Frankenhooker.
Frankenhooker, yes, we are. All right, here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, and spread the word to it. Okay, something that we don't normally do. Take a few minutes, please, and if you know anyone that digs horror movie and thinks that they would like to, even if they don't like horror and they just like to have a good time and laugh and cut up with us, um, please spread the word. We're trying to grow the channel. We have some surprises and some fun things coming for you. Um, and we're really really hoping that our new lineup, if you will, the way we're going to do things is going to be really cool for you, and you're going to like it. What we're going to try to do is most months have a four week run in them, and we're going to try to do like a classic movie on the first Thursday, and then the third Thursday is going to be our what's a good way to put that, schlock
Schlock.
night, a
Yeah.
schlock night where we cover things like Frankenhooker and Thanksgiving
Yeah.
and,
The goofier ones that are out that are very aware of themselves on where
yes,
they are.
And a lot of times those are some sleepers that are just fantastic. And then what we're going to do is once we get our Patreons set up, we're going to let the last Thursday in the month be a Patreon decides. We'll put together a list of like 4 movies. You guys get to pick them, and we won't know until the week beforehand what it is we're covering. That it should be a lot of fun as well. That's fun for you guys and for us because then we don't make that decision. You do as Patreon supporters. So that's something that we're going to be doing down the road. We don't have Patreon set up yet, but there's more to come on
More to
that.
come soon.
So, um, and when we do, just so you know, we have some prizes and stuff set up for you. For those that want to back us, we've got some really really cool merch and some other things coming. So, hoping that by the beginning of February. We can get that portion done. So we know what the rest of the month holds for us. Ubaldo, mission accepted. I love it. Thank
Yes.
you,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. So definitely like, subscribe, share. When this show is over, leave a comment in there. It helps that algorithm push out. Maybe get 1 or 2 people to see it. 1 or 2 people tell 1 or 2 people. Before you know it, we've got like, what's like 4 people. Yeah, and we'll go from there.
So I'm gonna put in the chat right now the easiest way you can let someone know where to find us because there are a couple of different grave reviews out there. Um,
One, look for the skeleton watching TV.
Absolutely, absolutely. But if you put in grave reviews as one word and then a space studios, that will bring you right directly to us. And that way you'll know it as soon as because you'll see the skeleton watching television, chewing on his hand because he's nervous about what he's getting ready to see.
Yeah.
But that'll help you let people know where to find us. It's Grave Reviews Space Studios. You don't have to worry about caps and not caps and all that stuff.
And
And
tell them the 18th we're doing Frankenhooker.
yeah. I will let you know that I've seen Frankenhooker well more than one time. I love this movie. It is a goofy movie. If you want to see it beforehand, it is a free watch on Tubi.
Yep.
So that's a really nice app to have if you like horror movies. Ubalto says he needs to get a T-shirt. We actually have a couple different designs coming, Ubalto. We're working on them now.
Yep.
So hopefully, again by mid-February, we'll have those available for you guys if you want to purchase them. I'm wearing, DB and I tonight, just by chance, by the way, are
Yeah.
wearing the Grave Reviews with the skeleton.
Or
We also
watches.
have one. We also have one that has our Grave Reviews logo, which is on the lower left-hand corner of the screen right now, with the raven, the tombstones, and of course the old style movie camera. So those are available. I also have some hats ordered that have the Grave Reviews with
Yep.
the raven standing on them. So those should be coming soon. So we're trying to get our merch up and running for you guys. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. We can't spend a lot of money on that right now because we don't have a lot of people in the chat seat right now. We're only averaging views of just under 30. So anything you can do to help us grow the channel will help those kinds of things come along a lot faster.
Definitely.
So, Greedo, I love this guy.
He's
uh,
got a point there. More shows should have some speedos.
you know,
Nobody wants to see me in a speedo, so
no, no,
you know,
but I tell you what, if we get enough subscribers,
a grave
Greedo,
review speedo.
I will make a grave review speedo just so you can buy one.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that being said, I love you guys.
Great.
Again, yeah, definitely leave us a comment. Let us know. Let us know what your favorite part of this movie was, if you had one, or if you had one that was like, I really hated this part. Either way it goes, let us know. If you liked the show
Absolutely.
tonight, let us know about that. If you hated the show tonight, let us know about that so we can learn and we can grow. That all being said, Chris, please, is there anything you'd like to say tonight?
I would like to say thanks to everyone in the Living Dead room for hanging out, for following along on this silly little ride with us. Uh, just a couple dudes reviewing some horror movies. Stay spooky out there, guys.
Hey, we love you guys. We appreciate you so much. Don't forget that when you see that raven, the ravens are there to carry the souls back to home to where they need to go. So, pay them some attention, give them some love. And that being said, this is Alan with Grave Reviews. Don't forget to grab your favorite drink, grab your favorite snack. Be sure to press play on this one. You're gonna like it. Have a great night, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.